Now that you've finished your scratch outline and you know how you're going to organize your paper, you know how to set your paper up in MLA format, how to use summary, paraphrase, and quote, you're ready to go ahead and start writing a draft of your paper. The first draft that you write will be the zero draft. The very first draft that you write. And it's not seen by anyone. Okay. The problem that most students have is that they turn the zero draft in as the finished product. And it's not. And that's why paper grades tend to be so low. It's best to write the zero draft in one sitting if you can at all. The goal of the zero draft is to get your points written down in paragraph form in as close to a finished form as you can without worrying about things like grammar, mechanics, punctuation, or anything along those lines. So what you do is you gather your sources, which by now should be annotated and organized so that you can find the data for each reason fairly easily, and you use your scratch outline to get you started in organizing the paper, and you go ahead and you write your zero draft. In writing the zero draft, wording, grammar, and format, as I said, really aren't important. I do, however, recommend that you somehow make a note to yourself as to which source your data came from and what pages were involved, because that will make it easier for you next week when you go through and revise and add in your MLA citations. If you have those notations already made, you won't have to look it up again. Okay, so you write your zero draft in one sitting, and then you start working on what's called global revision. Global means that it deals with the overall main points or main aspects of writing. And that would include, at least to some degree, audience, definitely focus, development, and organization. After you write your zero draft, set it aside for at least 24 hours before you begin global revision. Revision, if you look at the word, it's revision. Vision is to see. And in global revision, you are seeing the paper again. You're looking at it with fresh eyes. If you try to revise the paper right after you write it, you're not going to be able to actually see the paper from a fresh perspective, which is what you need to do in performing global revision. So you set it aside for 24 hours, and you come back and you read through it to make sure that nothing in your paper is off the topic. That's all you look for. And that read-through will address the focus of the paper. Next, you go through, you set it aside again for about, maybe half an hour to an hour. You come back to it, and you read it again to make sure that each reason is well developed with appropriate data from reliable sources. You take out anything that seems to be extraneous information or repeated information, and you add in information where you see that it's needed. Then you set it aside again for maybe half an hour to an hour, and then you come back and you read it again to make sure that the paper is organized appropriately, as we discussed in earlier presentations. For your first paper, that would definitely be that it would be emphatic, and that you're either organized topic by topic or point by point. For the second paper, the organization might be a little bit different, but we'll talk about that when we start working on the second paper. Okay, so that's how you do global revision, but you don't do it just once. You set the paper aside again and focus on other activities for at least a few hours between these global revision sessions. And then you go back and you repeat the global revision process as many times as needed until you're sure that the focus development and organization are as good as they can be and that the focus development and organization are appropriate for your chosen audience. Then you check the claim to make sure that the pattern of development in the claim reflects the organization of your paper. And after you've finished going through and doing global revision at least a couple of times, you have a paper that is ready to turn in as the first draft this week that I am going to grade as a quiz score. This isn't it's not a paper grade. The paper grades, there are 2 papers. Each of them will be worth 40% of your course grade. This draft is just considered a homework or quiz assignment. I'll grade it, and I will make comments specifically on focus, organization, and development, and the degree to which those aspects are appropriate to the audience. Unless the wording is so poor that it's not college-level wording at all, or I can't understand what your paper is saying, then I won't comment on the grammar, the wording, the documentation, or anything like that on this draft. That's what I'll look at when you turn in the second draft. For this draft, I'm just going to look at focus, development, and organization, and whether or not those are appropriate to your audience. So that's pretty much what you need to know about writing your zero draft and doing the global revision on it so that you can finish up writing the paper that's due this week. And if you have any questions, of course, you know what you're going to do. You're going to email me at deborah.oakey@csn.edu, and of course, you're going to email me from an account other than Canvas, right? Okay, and don't forget that even as you're working on these revisions, if you're not clear whether you are summarizing something or paraphrasing something correctly, or whether you formatted a quote directly or correctly, make sure to send me a screenshot or something of the section of the source that you're trying to summarize, paraphrase, or quote, and the draft of the paragraph that or paragraphs that you are using to summarize, paraphrase, and quote it, and I'll get back to you and let you know whether you're doing that correctly or not. So, if there's anything you want me to look at while you're doing this, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate one moment to email me at deborah.oakey@csn.edu from, of course, an account other than Canvas. Okay, good luck working on your drafts. I'm looking forward to reading them, and we will talk again soon.